Zhou Xinfang was a Beijing musical actor. He was born on January 14 of the year 1895 in Qingqianpu, which is north of Jiangsu. He passed away on March 8, 1975 in Shanghai, China, abused and died during the Cultural Revolution, or formerly known as the Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution. This particular was a movement that took place in the People's Republic of China for about a decade long. They had a goal to conserve communist ideology as best as they could. Zhou was the reawakening actor of the 20th century. He specialized in the role of an old man. Luckily for him, he was the best leading member known of the Shanghai School of Beijing Opera. Over 650 Beijing operas functioned by Zhou are identified as the Zhou Xinfang Arts Research Center located in China. In Shanghai, he performed well over 650 titles of Beijing opera throughout his entire career. He was in a loving relationship married to his wife Lillian Q, who was born in the year 1905 and died in 1968. He had two sons, Michael Chow and Sai Chen. While also being a grandfather to the famous actress China Chow, unfortunately, he passed away 8 years after the horrendous death of his dearest wife. At the age of only 6 years old, Zhou began to learn Beijing opera. This age is very young for a child to learn opera, and his family was very fortunate if he had stuck with it for his entire life. Most teachers will not allow their student to begin learning opera until after they reach their 16th birthday, while others believe their child is not serious until they are an adult or entering into college. He made a debut role at the age of only 7 years old. He originally began performing the opera in Shanghai in the year 1908. He went over to Beijing to start performing there. At the age of only 13 years old, he was playing the major roles of the opera show. Zhou was very fortunate to work with other famous musical actors, such as Mi Fang, which was one of the most famous opera artists in modern Chinese history, but Dan roles were something he primarily focused on. Zhou was known as the Southern Q. Due to his stage name being Kingling Boy, he had created a remarkable vocal technique and style, which became known as the Q style or Q school. He profoundly studied and revised old Beijing operas, especially the Zhao He Chases, Han Xin, and The Moonlight, as well as writing out new plays that were related to these previous operas. Even though he was not born with a good voice, he still became a good singer and knew exactly how to control his voice's loudness and clarity, paying attention particularly to characters' emotions and expressing them simultaneously as best as he could. He was able to grow up in the family and relatives involved in opera. His father was part of an opera troupe, which allowed Zhou to be sent to a popular company in Beijing at the age of 13 years old for a consistent 4 years, where he performed before the Empress Dowager. He was lucky enough to be the first and foremost Beijing musical actor that adapted the administrator or director role for interpreting Beijing opera as a fluent artist aspect. He was an incredible actor, but he was also a produced administrator and wrote articles for the press on an occasional basis. He was placed in 4 film movies for over 3 decades of his life. He was a world-class actor and was a very profound male in the Beijing opera industry. Still today in Beijing, China, there are musical opera shows that pursue tribute to the late Zhou Xinfang. These operas express the performances he was involved in when he was still alive and acting, reenacting some of the plays he directed or starred in. The Mi Fang Grand Theater have performances that are offered 3 days in a row by Zhou. The following musicals are Legend of the Four Scholars, Falling of Ming Dynasty, and The Treacherous Minister's Retribution. These specific musicals have gained popularity and importance through the interpretation of Zhou. Zhou Xinfang was a significant male actor in the Beijing opera industry from a young age until the time he passed away.